You don't want to be hitting that 6th place spot because you don't want to have your job on the line.
We still have something to fight for.
The stakes that we have compared to the previous match are not even close.
Like, the most we can do for our fans is just win this match against Dig and make sure that we're not relegated.
Like, everything's on the line right now.
I think we're going to have to play our hearts out to win.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American League Championship Series. We've picked up stakes and taken our show on the road to the Emerald City for the Penny Arcade Expo, or as the natives call it, PAX Prime. Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson, and lending their brain power to the analyst desk, we have Aiden Zyrene Moon and our special guest, Eugene Park, a.k.a. Pobelter from Evil Geniuses. Pobelter, I'm going to put you on the spot right away here. Which NA LCS team is walking away with the championship when this weekend is done?
I think Curse or TSM are going to take it.
I love the bold call. I love that call. I'm excited to see whether or not that holds true, and I will hold you to that prediction. Now, we've got a big week of action coming your way live from the Washington State Convention Center, where an expected 70,000 fans will be in attendance for the 10th annual PAX Prime Convention.
Yeah, and this week it will play host to the NA LCS as we crown our Summer Split champions and see who will advance to the World Championships.
Now, just moments ago, we saw CLG and Dignitas walking into the venue here. Shortly after, CLG here warming up. We're going to see Seraph and Dexter taking his time on the Rift. Follow that up with Dignitas. Of course, you see Cutie and KiWiKiD having a good time as always. Now, to set the stage, though, let's pull up the bracket to see where the teams stand.
In our first quarterfinal series, TSM defeated Dignitas and advanced to the semifinals to face second seed LMQ. Then Curse turned in a commanding 3-0 sweep over CounterLogic Gaming and moved ahead to take on the first seed Cloud9.
And today, we'll be bringing you a best-of-5 series as CLG and Team Dignitas slug it out for 5th place and a guaranteed spot in the 2015 Spring Split, while the team that loses will have to take on a team from the North American Challenger Series to hold on to their spot.
And after that 5th place series, we've got another best-of-5 as the Brazilian squad Kaboom Esports battles the Latin American team PEX Gaming. The winner will claim the last international wildcard spot at the World Championships.
Now, if you need to refer back to that bracket or schedule, because we know it's a lot of information, head to lulesports.com. And while you're there, click on schedule at the top of the page and give a thumbs up to the team that you think will win.
Yeah, and you can get your tickets to join our studio audience in Los Angeles for the upcoming 2015 Spring Promotion Tournament. You might even be able to get this guy's autograph.
Ooh, maybe. And now we want to throw out a Twitter question to all of you. How do you PAX Prime?
Share your pictures from PAX Prime or how you and your friends are watching at home. Send them to @LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. We'll be on the hunt for the very best to share later in the show.
Now, while you guys get to tweeting, we're going to send it out to the caster desk at the Washington State Convention Center.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bism III, and joining me for our first series is none other than Sam Kobe Hartman Kenzel.
Thank you, Riv. It's great to be back in Seattle, and the audience is definitely ready for some league action.
I'd say they are. We are shifting into gear right away for our first best-of-5 showdown between CounterLogic Gaming and Team Dignitas. As we mentioned, on the line is 5th place for the winner. For the loser, a trip to the 2015 Spring Promotion Tournament where they will have to fight, as you know, a challenger team to hold on to their LCS spot.
Yeah, not long ago, Dignitas and CLG considered themselves contenders for first place and were looking ahead to the World Championships. But now both teams have just gone through a tough quarterfinal series, and they might feel like they've hit rock bottom. But that would be a false floor. So this will be a test for both of these teams to see how well they were able to regroup after their losses and focus on the task at hand.
It's definitely been a weakness for North American teams that they have not had as much time in the best-of-5 series. That practice just wasn't there. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to stay calm, focused, and go the distance.
Well, going into their sets last week, both of these teams had obviously been practicing some new strategies. Dignitas pulled out the split-pushing Zion Spartan with Nasus, which actually got them their first win in that series.
Pretty well done.
And then in CLG's case, they started out with AP Kog'Maw comboed with a Twitch, and even though they were able to get some nice picks on Quas' split-pushing Nidalee in the mid-game, they could not deal with him without sending multiple champions, and they fell apart in the late game as their Cog poke did not land and their options dwindled. And in the end, neither of these teams were able to turn the series around once they started dropping games.
Right, and unfortunately, they had less than a week to digest that loss. All the players are still kind of reeling from it. Hopefully, things have been patched up, and when you throw in travel, they haven't had much time to begin preparing for this series.
Yeah, and since they haven't had that much time to prepare, we might look for Dignitas to build on what did work for them versus TSM. Right. Namely, that Zion Spartan split push, when he can get ahead, or when Dignitas can manipulate their opponents in the picks and ban phase, he can become a one-man wrecking crew, as we saw on that Nasus. And he tweeted out once again that he was going to try split pushing, so we'll have to see if they go through with it. For CLG, their bright spot is that they've beaten Dignitas in 3 out of their 4 games that they met in the regular season. Right. And the one game that they dropped was to the CLG sub-squad. So we'll have to see. In the past, CLG have actually allocated their resources more efficiently, and they were able to out-trade Dignitas in mid-game objectives, which got them most of their wins in this specific matchup.
We'll see if that history repeats itself. As you said, the regular season games favored CLG, but for this series, Doublelift says one of their challenges will be adapting to what surprises Dignitas brings from game to game.
In the regular season, CLG is probably the team we struggle with the most.
They're strong in bot lane, and they're able to play with their solo lanes having little farm. That's typically what they play, and we kind of play almost the reverse, almost focusing more on the solo lanes.
Normally, Dig is just like a really unpredictable team, and depends game to game. So sometimes they'll do split push with Zion, and sometimes they'll do team fight straight up, and sometimes they'll do full-on poke.
They feel like they're just a step ahead of us in like every rotation, and that's obviously our weakest point right now.
I would be very comfortable playing against them, whether it be 2v1 or 2v2. I'm confident that we should be able to beat them.
I don't feel nervous or pressured at all. If we're meant to win the lane because we put in more work and effort, then we're meant to win the lane.
We have very good calculated risks, and we know when we can go aggressive and when we shouldn't. Because of that, that's why I think we'll be able to beat Dignitas.
Both teams uncertain, but there was a level of respect there, especially even from like Doublelift, not saying it's going to go down our way. There was a lot of level of respect there for both teams coming into this matchup.
Yeah, both of those teams definitely a lot of respect.
Well, we're going to get right into this right now. The starting lineups, let's get them on the screen. On the blue side, it's Counter Logic Gaming. That means it's Seraph in the top lane, Dexter in the jungle, Link in mid, focusing on the strats, Doublelift at AD carry, and Aphromoo helping him out on support.
And on the red side, it's Dignitas. Up top, Zion Spartan. In the jungle, Crumbzz. Mid, Shiphtur. AD carry, Imaqtpie. And support, KiWiKiD.
All right, Kobe, jumping into these games, there's a lot on the line. We heard Doublelift say, you know, even for the fans, this is something we need to do for ourselves, for the fans as well, and bring out a win here. Patch up what's gone wrong.
We did talk about how, you know, coming into this, anytime there is the 5th place match, both of the teams are kind of feeling down. So it's all about regrouping and focusing on the task at hand, the games that are ahead of them. As I said, you know, the history between these two teams in the regular season, CLG has had the upper hand with the squad that's actually up there right now.
That's kind of, as we've seen those matches we saw in the quarterfinals, that statistic kind of proved to be in the favor of the team with the history of wins, as Curse came out with the win. See if they can actually make that happen on CLG's side. I believe that works in their favor, and that calmness actually puts them in a great spot to win this game. They don't really have to do anything off the cuff when they start it. They know they've had the upper hand in this matchup multiple times, and if they can shut down Crumbzz trying to create all the vision, they'll have such a good chance to start off the series.
That being said, Dignitas showed some things in the TSM game. They were able to beat TSM by split pushing, which has to do a lot with mid-game shot calls, which is a way that CLG were beating Dignitas in the past. So not only were they able to win by split pushing, they also had good control around Baron, in which they actually got a lot of advantages back in many of those games.
We'll see what they've had and really came up with in a week. It's not something that all these teams, like we said, have been used to. The best of 5 series is different, and we saw many times that, or not many times, one time that a third game brought us to a 4th and changed things up. And this really plays on the mentality and just your physical prowess to play in these long games. Our first quarterfinal went 45 and 60 or 50 and 60 minutes. These should be no different.
All right, let's jump into that champion. Select them. Game number 1 about to kick off.
Ziggs is out. They say, you know what, Dig? You're not going to be able to set up a wall at the turrets if we want to siege you down. So the Ziggs out immediately.
That was a big part of Dignitas' strategy before. Shiphtur really nowadays preferring these long-range poke champions. When he did pick up the Ahri that I was waiting for him to go back to ever since the changes, they weren't really able to commit fully to that pick style of team composition, and it did not work out for them. I think he might have gotten just so complacent with these long-range champions. That's his more go-to style nowadays, so CLG targeting him.
We see the Twitch ban coming out. Curse did that quite a bit versus Counterlogic Gaming, and the one game they didn't, they actually gave Doublelift his best chance and best score on that AD carry, so very good, very smart play doing their homework on that. The Alistar is out. Maokai's still going to fly through on this one. We'll see what happens to the top lane. Nunu, that jungle control for Crumbzz will be nullified with another ban, but Dignitas is definitely taking their times on ban number 3 here.
Right, so CLG, they take out the Ziggs, the main wave clear champion that Shiphtur has been using, and Nunu. So a lot of objective control CLG are freeing up for themselves to enable them to make those mid-game calls. And then Zion and Dignitas are forced to ban out the Nidalee since they are not going to be first pick here. And Zion, by the way, he's been using a lot of other champions to split push. So them banning out Nidalee doesn't hurt him as much.
Nope. That Zed as well. A lot in OGN has been used. We were watching Go going earlier, wreck on Zed, and just that would really give, if they had it, the 1-3-1 Dignitas loves to run. If they get the control, Maokai picked up for Seraph in the top lane. He's prioritized as the first pick.
Yeah, Maokai, very strong team fighting champion. As we saw in the last set that CLG played, he had a bit of an erroneous engage with the champion, but they have gone over those.
You got to think, though, Kobe, that kind of not aggressive engagement in the top lane leaves the possibility for the Nasus up.
Nasus definitely is available, and they ran it into the Maokai versus TSM. However, one of the things that a lot of people were questioning is why they didn't stick to that strategy second time around. Right. Because TSM also first picked a Maokai in the second game, but Dignitas shied away from it because they felt that it was more of like a surprise attack, I guess.
Something we'll definitely have to focus on as well is the Cog Nami is locked in. Dig said they don't focus on that dual lane, so we'll lock them in and see what they can counter with in the last 3
Well,
games.
for saying they don't focus on the dual lane, that is a very, very powerful dual lane to lock in.
Call that into question.
This is definitely one of the preferred duos for the bottom lane. So setting up KiWiKiD and Imaqtpie already with a fairly strong lane. And we'll see if they do end up having to do lane swaps. Also works pretty well against the 2 versus 1.
A very slow pick and ban phase. A lot of pros actually in some of these say don't be afraid to try things in game 1 since there is such a series. Feel out the team you're playing against.
So one thing is that that they're trying now is Nami for KiWiKiD. Haven't seen as much of that from KiWiKiD.
That's true.
And Nami is very squishy. Usually KiWiKiD likes those champions like Braum, where he's very tanky, and when he roams around, if he's caught out of position, then he has escapes, and he can soak up a lot of damage. Nami is very unforgiving if you are out of position. Very squishy mage champion here for KiWiKiD on support. And as we see on the other side, lucking in that Braum to counter the ultimate from Nami. Braum will be able to soak up that tidal wave.
An unfortunate thing, but it always feels good when you're on the Braum side.
It does. It still will slow down Braum. So if you're trying to catch anyone on the other team, then it still works.
Get the big guy with his dash.
And it also still works as a decent disengage. So we'll have to see how the rest of Dig's comp shape up. But CLG, very good dive so far.
Yeah.
Their front line, Braum comboed with Maokai. Anytime you have that, very strong dive to jump in. And Maokai, when he jumps in with Braum, they actually have extra protection for Cosmos.
Holy mackerel, Kobe. I was going to mention this a little bit before. As we were talking in the green room, Dignitas had some 8 or 9 Barons coming up in their matchup in the quarterfinals. Look at this objective team they've just created. A tidal wave if they need to get in or out. The curse of the sad mummy as well. This is a team to fight.
So they do, once again, go back to their Nasus for the split push.
Yeah.
This is very interesting because they did not do it second time versus TSM. I do like it in this case will be strong against Maokai. We'll have to see if CLG try and get anyone else strong enough to try and meet him.
Yeah.
But really, what people are wanting to talk about is Aphromoo. I'm so glad he's made it back into competitive here. Crumbzz, like we said, Crumbzz is one of the junglers in the North American LCS that has the most diverse champion pool. And he's very, very fine with playing many of these considered second-tier junglers. He never really got hung up on the top 3 plateau of those junglers. And bringing in Aphromoo here, great team fight presence, great AoE here, and it can lock down many of these melee carries that jump in on Kog'Maw and give Kog'Maw a little bit of breathing room along with the tidal wave.
Definitely be able to get in those fights and stand toe-to-toe with a Braum and a Maokai when it comes to it, with Shiphtur, who picked up Nasus for Zion, split pushing the lanes. What an awesome composition so far. As always, Shiphtur gets his pick for last as he's going to be facing Link's Syndra. Definitely a bully in the lane.
Syndra was a really big part of the quarterfinals
she was.
in both of them, actually. The long-range stun was great for picking people off. We'll see if Link is actually able to do that. Link hasn't been roaming as often as many of the other mid laners. We'll see how he can set up the vision around mid lane to see if they can get any of those picks.
All right, Dignitas fighting for 5th along with CLG in this one. Nobody wants to go to the Promo Rel tournament. And right now at the end of the season, it's crazy to see it's these 2 teams. Seasons from seasons have changed so much, Kobe. The caliber of play has become so much better in the NA LCS. And right now, these guys striving to make their mark to get into the 5th place. Dexter on the Kha'Zix, going to be trying to make early impact plays, but you can still see the ganks from Aphromoo. He's not a level 6 have to be.
And you can see, I like what Dignitas have done here. They've got the split pushing Nasus, but they also have a very good defensive 4-man squad.
Right.
Aphromoo doesn't always have to be the initiator to jump in. He's also very good at peeling. You can use the ult defensively. If you have Aphromoo ult plus the tidal wave, it sets up for a very easy shockwave. And if this CLG squad try and force on the 4-man crew of Dig that are away from Nasus, then Dignitas have plenty of disengages.
Lots of hugs to give on that one. All right, everyone, before this series gets underway, we're going to head over, check lolesports.com as usual, and see what the vote is. Right now, 53% of you very close are tipping this one in Dig's favor.
If you feel that the momentum shifts at any point throughout our games, update your vote by tweeting the hashtag either CLGWin or DIGWin to @LOEsports.
All right, so Dig on the red side, no stranger to giving up the 2v1 dragon control and putting KiWiKiD up the top lane, and then leaving, or I'm sorry, PewDiePie in the top lane, and then KiWiKiD down with Zion Spartan in the bottom. They kind of started bringing out that support top that allowed more dragon control. We'll see if they do it again here. CLG coming out of blue. Dig coming out of the red side. Let's get this playoff match underway.
See if we get any early vision down here. Doesn't immediately look like lane swaps will occur.
Yeah, not for now. They're going to want the duo. Doublelift said whether we get the duo or not. Take them down.
If they do go standard lanes here, Maokai's not really a lane bully, and he will not be able to push Zion out. So Zion will be happily stacking up his siphoning strike at the beginning. KiWiKiD getting a little extra money there in the early game. Every 5 gold counts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
30 seconds until minions.
Crumbzz not running the vision game at all this time, as we wouldn't think he is. Sometimes grabs a ward, goes for the early sweep.
Ooh, that's actually a pretty good point, because Aphromoo is one of these champions that does have the option to build either the AP starting jungle item or the coat.
Right.
And if you do start out with a quill coat, then you get early wards. So Crumbzz still could have that early vision game if he goes tanky Aphromoo for the quill coat. A very popular build, mostly in solo queue, is the AP Aphromoo though, which does a surprising amount of damage.
Hey, if you're ahead of the game, it works really well, but he can fall behind quite quick.
Well, the other thing that I do like about the AP Aphromoo build with the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith is that his sustain is very, very strong. It's better than the quill coat, so you get more HP back in the jungle. You don't necessarily have a higher HP maximum pool, but you sustain much better if you stay out there a while. All right, blue side invade on the blue buff here for CLG. 3-man squad push him out without the jungler. This This is going to be a 3-buff start here for CLG if they can get the last hit.
That'll be ridiculously huge, especially against Aphromoo. KiWiKiD trying to do what he can. That goes over to Doublelift, actually, to start the duo lane that's now going to match up. He'll be spitting out spells as Pastor Lucian.
Yeah, Lucian
Awesome.
already very strong in lane. Now with the double buff, that will be great news for Doublelift and Aphromoo. Also, they didn't miss out on too many lane minions. Doublelift also got the hit on the last blue buff, so he gets the money and the experience. And PewDiePie and KiWiKiD also roamed up to check the blue. So they didn't get a lot of that extra lane experience. It's also going to shut down Crumbzz. Aphromoo, very blue-dependent jungler. You can see he's already dry.
Look at that. Also, a ward very fast for Seraph in the top lane, and his teleport is used to try and shut down Crumbzz if he tries to get out of the jungle. That looks like a painful jungle star right there. We'll see what he can do. It hasn't stopped Crumbzz before from doing some big things, even when his buffs were stolen by a blitzcrank of Daydreaming. Remember those games. He was still able to come back strong.
Yeah, very good opening here for CLG. Able to sort of mind game dig. Maybe Dignitas thought it was going to be a lane swap situation.
This is good on CLG, Kobe. I thought it was going to be Dig that would try to kind of go off the cuff here, but good moves by CLG.
Let's see what they can do with this, because anytime you get Aphromoo without a blue buff, you can continue to punish him very, very easily. Amumu's a poor duelist. Kha'Zix is an extremely strong duelist. So I would expect Dexter never to leave this side of the jungle. He can set up camp here, get wards down in the bushes, as well as counter jungle everything that he wants. You can see even Seraph is lending a hand here. They know they have Crumbzz on the ropes, and they don't want to let him get any experience to get back in the game.
No way. This is a painful start. CLG is just putting down the stranglehold right now and continuing. That ward from Seraph really able to help Dexter get in the right spot and continue the invade, like you said.
But because Dexter had his smite used on the Wraiths, he didn't have it to steal away double golems. And Crumbzz gets a little help there, able to get that one away and catches him right back up. So not as big of a discrepancy between the junglers as there could have been.
This is going to be big, though. Shiphtur knows he can't go too hard against the lane bully. He'll be able to shield some off. 26-17, already in Doublelift's blue buff on the bottom lane duo. Everything in the early game playing in favor of CLG here.
Yeah, and the way this is also going to affect all the lanes too. Anytime you can get the jungler behind like this, it frees up CLG lanes to play so much more aggressively. Link, you can see here, definitely pressing this Syndra advantage. See if Crumbzz decides to try and answer, because Link right now wards the opposite side.
Crumbzz was able to get the stone, so there's a bit of sustain there. Still going to take a lot of hit in the jungle, but he's trying to get vision out, which is also important.
So that right there, it's already signaled. He's not going to go with the Quill Coat. He's going to go with the more sustain-heavy Spirit of the Spectral Wraith build. Will be more squishy, but they already will get a lot of tankiness from Spartan in the late game, plus Shiphtur's shield with the ball will be able to help out. Interesting choice here. We'll see how it works out. Dexter going for the second invade on the bottom side, but he's too late here. A little bit miscalculation. The timing's there, not quite on for his tracking of Crumbzz.
Well, that works pretty well for Crumbzz. It's kind of an edge that he needed. It's not going to be huge, Kobe, but a little bit helps.
Yeah, that's one of the, so it's one of the skills for a jungler that's most important, is being able to predict where where the other jungler is going to go. You take what little information you have and try and extrapolate it. Since he did chase Crumbzz off the top side, probably expect that he would go to the blue side next. But good ward, defensive ward here by Dignitas. We'll be able to see Dexter, and Dexter wastes a decent amount of time.
Quickly putting those wards behind. Crumbzz is saying right now, everybody just play it safe. Don't try to do anything too crazy unless they come to us. That looks like what's happening right here. That's the lockdown. Link still has flash. But wait, he gets the lockdown. It goes to Shiphtur. They pick up first blood on Link.
Great play by Crumbzz on the opposite side of the map from Dexter. Comes right in through where the ward expired that Link just placed. It was just a trinket ward. Only lasts for 1 minute. And Crumbzz gets right in there for a great gank. First blood. Catches him right up.
Yeah. Not really hesitating on his power to go for ganks on that. Crumbzz keeps it strong and true. Keeps the calls coming for the team to get first blood. Not too much of a gold lead there. We still have dragons to be messing with in this early part of the game. We'll see what happens. Very quickly used level 6 by Shiphtur in the mid lane. So they may try to go back onto him there.
Yeah, anytime you do start talking about these earlier dragons, it's all about the condition of the mid lane and the bottom lane.
Yeah.
Since mid lane was just killed for CLG, it does take away a bit of their momentum, but bottom lane has been pushing in this entire time. Doublelift and Aphromoo.
Ooh.
Pretty strong lead here.
Oh man, trying to hook up Doublelift with some kills in the bottom lane. They could be getting this one onto KiWiKiD. Doublelift trying to get some shots on an Ardent Blaze to give him passive movement speed.
Whoa,
not get there in time. Zion Spartan taking the late teleport train to the bottom lane. I don't think he wanted to do that. And CLG pick up a bit of ground for a lot of work though. Shiphtur still in mid.
So CLG commit all 5 people, and Zion does not cancel that teleport there. Great job. CLG do answer, and they gives them control of the bottom side, but they took so much damage from the turret there because it was a long drawn out gank down bottom that they aren't able to answer any objective. So it's only 1 kill. However, both teleports were used.
Yeah.
So no big disadvantage from the top lane that will affect this upcoming dragon.
Man, that would be happy days.
Dignitas moving right in.
He'd be farming in the top lane if he could, but look at this dig. Coming out with the right time. They know CLG's on the back, as you're saying. We're going to go ahead and pick up Dragon. So that goes around 8:35 for them. Very nicely done. And Dignitas is now going to have the timer. Remember, it used to be Dig's crutch in late game for objectives for those Barons. This is how they've been winning the games, and they start off with the first Dragon here to get that going.
Yeah, well, what happened was CLG were committing their 5 members down there. So commit all their resources to bottom lane on the hunch that after this kill that they're going to get bottom, they would be able to get Dragon. But because it took so long and they took so much damage in the process, it actually worked against them. And Dignitas were able to take the objective. So Dignitas come out ahead in that move, even though it was CLG to start it out. They took too much damage in the process, not able to get the objective after the kill. And the objective, that early Dragon Gold, is the most important part of the early move bottom.
Continuing to ward. KiWiKiD gets seen, so he does a little dance for Aphromoo there. And they go back to normal. So pink wards, the security, Aphromoo feels like they can cover that, and they can cover it behind the Dragon Pit towards the red. I don't think we'll see Crumbzz doing any invading with the team anytime soon. So they're trying to set up permanent defense now. Doing good so far. We see that big rotation from CLG. Very reminiscent of past play as they get their first kill in the bottom lane. Let's see if they can keep that going.
Yeah, so far, Dignitas have been doing a very good job playing reactively. Crumbzz, even though he got off to a very bad start due to the invades, he made up for it with a reactive gank on the other side, opposite side of the map, and then with the reactive Dragon Call there. After CLG spent everything bottom, Dignitas were able to come and clean up. So good cleanup so far here from Crumbzz and the Dignitas squad. Seraph has been doing a good job up top. You can see there's a lot of ward coverage in the red side jungle, and he's shoving Zion in, and then he's getting a lot of pressure on this red side Dignitas jungle. We'll see if CLG actually try and run any plays off that top side, go for another respawn of that red buff. But Seraph has definitely got plenty of vision to back up anything that he wants to try up there, if he wants to try and deny some stacks.
I don't know if they're going to take down Aphromoo here. Everything's really working in CLG's favor in the bottom lane. Dexter, very strong. Doublelift, 40 CS up, and he almost gets the last calling shot. It's just too little. There's the tidal wave coming out. Doublelift rides the wave, but it looks like they will pick up kills here. Such an elongated fight, and CLG has taken hardly any damage. It was just Doublelift in the 1v1. Crumbzz is going to go down. They give that to Dexter to give him some beef. He'll be good to go for this one. Beautiful job in the bottom lane once again.
So another kill down bottom. They aren't able to get Dragon, but it'll give them a lot of turret pressure.
Yeah.
And Doublelift and Aphromoo already had such a huge lead in this lane that Lucian is going to be a very big problem pretty early on. Doublelift is going with that early Infinity Run.
Oh man, Shiphtur gets hit. The Arcane Smash goes down. Is it going to be enough? No, it will not. Oh, he picks up the kill onto Seraph and makes it look easy.
CLG taking the initiative once again, and Dignitas with another reactive cleanup play here. Shiphtur taking the kill on Seraph.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. That one was gift wrap, but the attempts coming in from CLG trying to put themselves ahead. We'll see if they slow down on this one. Double bubble, but no trouble there. And the turret very low in that bottom lane. CLG still getting a lot of farm onto Doublelift. He's the only one, oh, I guess I should say now with Link, over 100. So these guys could be a very big problem, even for this guy right here in the top lane, who's just having the time of his life.
Zion Spartan gets some good damage onto that turret. This is definitely a preview for what will happen later in the game as well.
We should just record that and play it over and over again.
As of right now, he's got 147 stacks at 12 minutes in because it was a standard lane and it's a Maokai lane. So
all that
you would expect him to start stacking up very quickly here, and he's done a decent job of it.
I like it. Obviously, Dexter going for the Spectral on or the Wraith on his side. The Spectral on the side of Crumbzz, so we're getting a lot of damage coming out of these junglers. They both hit 6 as well, but we haven't seen the gloriousness of what their ults bring just yet. Crumbzz' jungle, a little bit of pressure relieved there, so he's getting what he wants when he wants it, and their timings are now their own. CLG has relieved a bit of pressure, but I feel like they kind of started the game off the way they wanted to.
They definitely did have that bottom lane focus that people always talk about with CLG, and Doublelift has his lead that is usually expected in this matchup and seen in this matchup between these two teams. See what he's able to do with it though, because as we said, he is going for that Infinity Edge build. Looks like he's also already getting some crit pieces for his Static Shiv, or maybe a Phantom Dancer, but probably the Static Shiv Infinity Edge combo for him.
Right.
He also is doing a good job here down by himself, opening up Aphromoo to start roaming around. Aphromoo trying to lend a hand in the vision game, get ready for this dragon. 1 minute ahead already for the dragon. Crumbzz and Dexter with the standoff.
It's going to be close. Both Athenes are finished in mid, but you're definitely seeing that ultimate power come out of Link. Shiphtur's had the right moves though, dodging skill shots and making it work. Very, very interesting mid lane going down. 130 to 118 overall in that one, even with 2 kills to Shiphtur. So great job by Link to stick in it.
Blue buff is very important for this dragon fight. 30 seconds left, and CLG are not already giving their blue buff over to Link. This might cost them, because 25 seconds already for the dragon. The thing is, Dignitas, they don't have secured vision around dragon. And they don't have any vision on the blue side, so they won't see.
Oh, that's a big dog.
If he kills the top laner, though, then they can teleport down and definitely be Dragon. Zion, though, he's chunking out Seraph right before this Dragon spawns. That could signal that Dignitas want to pull one of those plays. Can he stop the back?
Oh, he gets to him. He knows he has to keep going. So this is Dignitas. You can see Crumbzz trying to set up some wards.
They have a small opening.
Zion Spartans, he is just eating turret shots. That's what feel good. So Seraph is back. Does he hold it and walk back to lane? It doesn't look like CLG is actually making any move towards the mid, so he's going to soak up this wave that now gets crushing in. A bit of the map is opened up, which means vision is also denied with that turret down. We'll see how Zion Spartan keeps the split push going.
So Zion,
shouldn't be too different.
He gets the turret.
Good answer.
CLG answered down bottom because their bottom lane much stronger, but that will probably deter Dignitas from going for that dragon, because Seraph got enough time to actually heal in the fountain. So even though the tower was down, he could have answered teleports, and he definitely could have turned that team fight around. Meanwhile, CLG's bottom lane still very much ahead of the Dig duo.
They are battering down on that. Now 60 CS up for Doublelift here. Definitely getting a good focus on it. He's probably got some items to be finished as CLG sets up the defense around Dragon.
So Doublelift and Aphromoo, the investment bottom lane for CLG does pay off.
Yeah.
They get the Dragon second time around.
I remember at the end of last split, Doublelift was definitely on the Lucian train. He said, no, it's not that much. Yeah, then he realized. So coming out working well for him here. Hasn't picked up any kills yet, but the team, like you said, focusing him for that. Shiphtur hasn't found too much pressure in mid. They said, you know what? Everything's coming up daisies for him. Let's not go there anymore, even if we try a 2v1. So CLG is definitely adapting to what's working and what's not instantly in this game. Both teams still pretty even, though, with that said.
Yeah, and speaking of Doublelift on the Lucian, Lucian does not have the problem going early Infinity Edge that a lot of the other AD carries do, because he scales so well with flat AD. That's why people used to use the Bloodthirster first build. Getting a lot of the flat AD of the early BF sword doesn't hurt Lucian at all. Whereas someone like Kog'Maw and Tristana, they don't have as much AD scaling in their kit for their abilities, and it would take them a lot longer. So Lucian already with the Infinity Edge finished here, and the Brawler's Glove ready for his Static Shiv.
We'll see how CLG decides to use this. They can easily pressure a lot of fights to get those crits to pay dividends. Right now they're going to play it safe. Shockwave and a Curse of the Sad Mummy can still change a lot, and it looks like CLG has definitely repaired a bit of, you know, what happened in their previous games. Playing a lot more consistent just in their movements and being in the right spot at the right time here. Ooh, the good dodge there. Curse of the Sad Mummy. Shockwave, no. A quick flash from Blink comes out there, so a bit of pressure could be utilized for a Dragon.
Let's see what's answered here from CLG, because they've committed their jungler bottom side. Once again, Crumbzz went mid, Dexter now bottom. They're pushing hard for a second turret here. Mid lane, it's up to Seraph for the wave clear, though.
I like this. CLG really pushing harder than Zion Spartan would be able to, and they're saying your split push is going to be better than our rotational split push here. Right now pushed off a little bit, but they've warmed that turret up nicely to be on an inhibitor quite soon, and possible Baron pressure, especially with Doublelift having so much damage earlier.
Once we move into this phase of the game, though, it's very hard for Imaqtpie to do anything against Nasus split pushing. He already has the Shin. That's pretty much all that he needs to be able to win trades with Seraph. So it's going to be interesting how CLG deal with the split push. As of right now, they are not trying to deal with it. They're just having Seraph at the turret to stall Zion. He can't just ignore Seraph yet. He's not at the point where he can take turrets while ignoring the Maokai. And so they're doing a good job pressuring the other side of the map where CLG do have the upper hand. They're playing to their strengths here and running plays off of Doublelift.
As long as they keep tabs on Zion, he ended the game completely by himself in those quarterfinals. I'm sure they don't want that to happen. Great job by CLG. 1, 2, pretty much 3 turrets as they had the focus on them. No pausing in between. And they come out 2,000 gold ahead there. KiWiKiD still trying to do what he can in the bottom lane to catch up. 50 CS behind right now, but can still be a late game Kog'Maw if he gets those items.
So the thing is,
far behind.
Whoa, he's getting roamed on right now. He doesn't have vision here.
Oh man. That's what you got to do when you need every last drop. You put yourself in a bad situation. There's one hit. The concussive blows will lock down KiWiKiD. The Cathian surprise coming up on nothing, and Doublelift starts to get fed on a silver platter.
Yeah, rough there for KiWiKiD. He did already have enough money to complete his Trinity Force. Now we'll see how CLG actually deal with this, because that is, even though he's really far behind, it's a very big break point for Kog'Maw once he does finish his Trinity Force plus boots. So it's up to Dignitas to try and use this now and get that 4-man squad to at least hold their own. Because their split pusher is stronger, but their 4-man is actually weaker at this point.
Yeah. Minute 50 on Dragon. Good wards by Dignitas. Crumbzz really helping to keep that up with the rest of the team. He's going for an Aegis. Locked this down pretty much every game in the spring split for the locket of the Iron Solari. So be very good to kind of shut down a bit of scatter the weak and damage that are coming in from the assassinations of Dexter. Very good foresight there.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick here by Crumbzz, because he's going to be very squishy. He's gone with the Spirit of the Spectral Race. Now he's actually getting converged on.
Oh my, good flash there, but a flash is a flash, and CLG can still utilize that 5-minute pressure.
And that flash is extremely important. Crumbzz on a squishy Aphromoo really needs to be able to use his flash, because he can't take a lot of damage trying to get into a team fight. Now he has to have a perfect bandage toss if he wants to engage one of the fights. So probably we'll see Crumbzz and the Dig 4 squad play defensively like we thought, and use it for disengage. Because right now, not only did he go for the sustain build in the jungle with the Spectral Wraith, but he didn't follow it up with more AP damage. So he's going to be himself fairly squishy, but he will add that magic resist aura for the rest of the team to help them out with Shiphtur's damage, which is going to be a problem for Paga War.
Oh boy, nobody really gets scattered on that one. Just hit. Able to get out nice and safely, but CLG making moves. They're looking to make things happen for themselves. They're not saying let's have Dig make a mistake. They say let's create those mistakes for Dig. Force them into it.
Well, the big thing is that they scared him away from this Baron pit. They've got vision control of it, and they're doing it right now. After trying to hold down it by himself. Crumbzz jungled. Alarm is going off here.
That's what I was saying, man. They got that bottom turret warmed it up. Will they have enough time? Crumbzz hooks in. He does have Curse of the Sad Mummy. He locks it down. No smite to be used there. Seraph gets hit up as well. KiWiKiD pulls in that kill for himself. A shockwave just grabs Aphromoo, but there's not much movement, and it doesn't disengage anything. CLG still on the run here, and they grab the first Baron of the game at 21-30.
So they're able to kill the jungler. They're also able to utilize Seraph up top, which means that it's going to cost them turrets down bottom. Zion already able to chunk out these turrets extremely quickly.
Good answer.
He's up to 309 stacks on Siphoning Strike.
We haven't seen him pop anybody yet. We got Dragon going over to Dig, so they're closing that gold gap a little bit. Now 1,000. We're about 2,000. Dexter taking down a turret and making sure they stay on the top here. Great job by CLG to keep things in their favor. Dignitas to answer when they're getting hit on here. They're doing a great job. This split push, though, definitely more calculatedly stopped, if you could say that is not a word, but by CLG.
When you do go with the strategy CLG are doing, you have to be very decisive. As you said,
absolutely.
They're not going to try and fight the split push. They're going to try and out-trade the split push. They did come up with the play this time around because of their vision control around Baron. So they out-traded it by trading just one turret for that Baron buff. So again, they're not trying to fight it.
Right.
They're trying to out-move Dignitas across the map, which classically has been the way that they got their strong record against Dig. Now the question is, though, what do they do with this Baron buff? Because it's not just the global gold of a Baron. In the mid game, it's all about the stats that they get from this buff and the hard push that they need to go and do with it.
And even if Zion comes to fight with these guys, the Spirit Fire is not going to be clearing siege or clearing waves, so you have no protection there really once CLG gets to the turrets. Doublelift on the backside. The cooldown already. He's get those passive shots out on the turrets. No Triforce, so they might go through a little slow, but they'll be able to take down turrets, no problem.
Yeah, right now, it's just Shiphtur and KiWiKiD trying to wave clear.
Right.
And CLG, they have the opportunity to kill people under the turret without fully committing to a dive. Because they have Syndra, who can have set up kills under turret very, very easily and quickly burst down a target.
This could be big.
Coming in.
Oh, he gets him! He gets him on the relentless pursuit, but can he use Curse of the Sad Mummy before he goes down? That squishiness coming into play. A beautiful flash from Link there on the Shockwave, and Shiphtur will be taken down. CLG is ignoring turrets, and they are dropping Dignitas.
There's that hard push. CLG did not hesitate. They run straight up to the turrets, shove their lead, and Dignitas try and come in with a flank from Crumbzz. He had a great angle on Doublelift, but it sort of baited him in because the team was not ready to follow up. And as we said, very squishy Aphromoo build here, gets taken down very, very quickly. Zion Spartan left the only man with not many options. Looks like he's going back over to try and split push.
And CLG keeps reiterating that point for themselves, no hesitation. And it leaves Zion Spartan to pretty much be running across the map instead of solid farming these lanes. He definitely missed a lot there trying to run back and forth, but still getting something back as he usually does for the team. However, it's only so small now. They're definitely falling farther and farther behind 25 minutes in.
Yeah, Dignitas looked like they got a little antsy there.
Right.
Because Crumbzz had a good angle and he saw the shot. Even though you have the perfect shot, you don't always want to take it. Because CLG, with the Baron buff, the stats that it gives in mid-game worth so much. They are really far ahead. You need this whole combo to work. The combo that we talked about with the four-man squad of Aphromoo, Orianna, and Nami all have to be hit right after each other. But they weren't ready. And definitely CLG, huge bonus for them to pick up and crack through the inhibitor turret line.
Very nicely done. Pink wards all across the board for CLG. They know what they just got a hold of, and they want to now deny the map from Dignitas. If they're able to secure those pink wards down and hold them, it's going to be a hell of a day for Dig here to come back in game one. CLG on a steady roll down the tracks right now for a first game win. Dig's still in this. Baron has come to their rescue this season more than not.
We will see how Dignitas can now control the vision in their own side of the map. It's all about the defensive vision now for Dig, because they still have the damage to kill someone if they're able to catch them out. But they have to be able to be sure that they have the position on CLG. CLG aren't giving them the time.
It'd be a little tough.
Sweeping and pink warding this red side as they swing up to the top. Very good control here from CLG.
Yeah.
There's a damage though. Dexter gets poked out.
Dignitas does concede those outer turrets, but like you said, that damage, now they have to present themselves at the front of the turret. A good shockwave into a Curse of the Sad Mummy could be the thing they need to get this turned around. Dexter's really not the one picking up too many assassination kills. It's Doublelift who's going to be on the back line, so it's up to Zion Spartan or whoever can make the lasting fight work for them.
He has very little to spend on wards though. So because Dig
that's true.
Because Dig want to control the vision in their own side of the jungle for CLG's aggressive moves, it makes it very hard for Zion Spartan to split push because he has to extend extremely far down. And they have no vision and no control over where any of the CLG members are going. There's no way for Dignitas to force CLG anywhere but to deal with Zion Spartan. So right now, split push is not an option. The only way that you really do gain things with split push is when you have a threat somewhere else. If you can threaten around Baron or a tower somewhere else, that's the only way that Zion can actually commit down there. As of right now, there's no other pressure for Dig on the map, and he has to stop.
They have to get that Baron up. Top wave to be cleared, so Zion might just be in the role for that. They're going to leave that for him, maybe. KiWiKiD's not taking it. But so far, it'll stay where it is in that top lane. CLG may actually work off of that. They say, let's see if they'll go for the wave. We'll see if they'll try to clear for Baron. Very tricky plays. This is what I like about the CLG play this game. They're letting Dig come to them. They've cleared the map so much that they can actually stand still. That's not something you see all the time. And Dig is considering it. They say, we don't have enough vision, and nobody's roaming or farming any lanes but Seraph in the bottom. So a lot of consideration being put into the dark map that Dignitas is looking at right now.
Dignitas definitely getting antsy once again. That did cost them last time around. They might even want to just give up trying to venture into that side of the map and go for Dragon as a consolation prize. But it looks like they're going to try and hold a little bit of pressure in mid. At least keep up their presence here. They will see that ward placed, and that may trigger them to go try and check. Kog'Maw is always a great boon in the vision checking around Baron. But he's fairly low on mana already.
Here we go. There we go. That's what they needed to get in. Good pink ward placement, however. And Dignitas has done a good job at clearing that out of their own jungle. So safety in numbers, Kobe. Very much so for Dig right now. See Zion Spartan still on that split push and stacking up. Remember, once it came to it, eventually Zion was too big for the other team to handle. Right now, he could be put in that position, but this Baron is what the other four are working on.
Right, what we said about decisiveness of CLG, you have to make a call, a very strong call, because Zion will get that inhibitor turret now. He's got the Trinity Force Spirit Visage. That's what he needs to deal with Seraph and just bypass Seraph. See how much damage they can actually get, though. Chased off Baron, and Dig are rewarded.
That's what Dig needed. They said, oh, that's where Counter Logic Gaming is. We haven't seen him for 30 seconds. Showing up on the map, and they say, we have enough control in mid lane. Take it down. So they gain a bit of ground here, but Counter Logic Gaming, I feel like they know they're ahead. They're kind of waiting for Dig to make one more move that they're not ready to make.
Dignitas collecting all the pieces here.
This is how they
take up a turret, take up a dragon to get back in this game. It's small pieces, but these are the pieces that they need to get back and try and fuel their war around that Baron. They definitely need a bigger war chest and more wards to go over there. Everybody filling up here. You can see one of the good things there for Dig, they're all keeping ward spots open, so everybody can help with the crucial ward game here. Already, they've also switched over to one scrying orb. It's going to be a while before they can use it, though, and CLG taking this opportunity once again. Quick Baron call.
No wards on the other side of the map, but CLG is not seeing anybody close, and that's enough for them to get the second Baron of the game now. Uncontested on that. Crumbzz just a tad off of the bandage toss. Now a surplus of items ahead. CLG could really make a move here.
Baron number 2. Last time they got a Baron, they breached the inhibitor turret wall. This time, they're going to try and take the actual inhibitor, which opens up their side pushing. See if they can actually shove in the lane that Zion is currently in. That would do a lot for the momentum here. Every second counts, and forcing Zion to switch lanes is definitely a big bonus if they can do it. Doublelift. Oh! Close to stopping the back. No Ardent Blaze into the bush.
And here you can see CLG working all the lanes, prepping what's going to happen and come to fruition in about 5 minutes. They're going to have every wave crashing into the walls of those. Safety by Doublelift here. He's actually 2 levels up on KiWiKiD. Those guys would not want to meet.
And a full item.
Yeah, and a full item. And as usual, running his safety summoners. Doesn't want to get himself into a dangerous spot.
So he didn't end up going with the stack Shiv, by the way.
No, you're right.
The classic Lucian, just because Lucian item, just because it works so well with the kit. But Blade of the, or whatchamacallit, Ghost Blade. Instead, for the extra active for a much stronger culling. It will help them out a lot in their siege. every culling shot counts, as we saw early in this game when one more would have killed KiWiKiD.
So close. Oh, so close. Here we go. Inhibitor pressure in the mid lane. CLG flexing their muscles a bit. They have beautiful crumb wards, or I should say breadcrumb wards, to get out of this and trail their way out safely. Let that engage. Is a bandage toss going to do it, or is it a shockwave?
Doublelift getting a couple double shots on the inhibitor.
How about half your health for those double shots? Wow. Shiphtur, that Void Staff build, definitely putting out some pain.
And this is Doublelift with the Bloodthirster third item build. So he even builds up a shield before going in, and the combo from Shiphtur still takes him below half. If that is comboed with the ultimate from Crumbzz, they can 100% him.
Oh! That's so dangerous. Doublelift doesn't have that Triforce, but he's trying to get in for the double shot. Still, Crumbzz gets out. That's a huge amount of focus they just used on the tank, but didn't take it down this time. A good hold on the shockwave by Shiphtur. It was just a little short, but CLG re-engages.
Link with the flash in and ultimate for the kill. That's what CLG needed. Inhibitor's gonna go down.
Huge play there. 33:03 on the clock, and CLG say that's enough. We're taking this inhibitor too. Maybe just a turret for this timing. They got a lot back in 38 seconds now onto Shiphtur, and they're gonna have to save face on this one. One's enough for now.
Let's see. They really do want to make use of this Baron buff.
I was just gonna say.
Provides a lot of regen here. Even Seraph, how low he is. If they could get him up to the minion wave to auto, oh, he can auto attack wards as well. That'll work. Get back some health that way.
Making it happen. The waves now moved up the Doublelift push before, and CLG is looking for the W.
So I'm looking for Seraph to actually buy home guards on his back right now because he has his teleport ready. He's going back to base. Could come in rocket speed. Maybe he doesn't have enough money. Looks like he's sitting there. Here comes the teleport.
He's in. No home guard on that, but they are going to have the safety. Doublelift coming up from the back line to make sure they get that inhibitor turret, and now they're going to be able to work this mid-minion wave. It's almost there, and they'll be able to give Dignitas a little bit of trouble and work with those super minions. Very nice calling. Uses Relentless Pursuit to get it in the range of Shiphtur once more, but CLG's really, it looks like they're looking for more of a fight here than they're looking to take down the inhibitor.
Definitely a lot of poke here.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the W evolved poke from Kha'Zix. He's not just an all-in assassin nowadays, and Dexter using that to great effect, along with the threat of the Cinder Stun, makes Dignitas very wary of going for this combo, especially Crumbzz. It's hard for him to find that opening.
Oh, doggy. Baron just wearing off. Not as much sustain now. These guys get that HP back. A beautiful Curse of the Sad Mummy coming in. Seraph getting hit up. Again, the tanks, the big ones, taking a lot of damage, but they have enough to get down Seraph. Cannot follow. Dexter able to disengage with those spikes and slowed down. But CLG trying to go a little too much. When that Baron wore off, Dignitas tried to take hold.
Look how much of the base they were able to take, though. Inhibitor and a half down here for Dignitas.
Yeah, they stayed a while. 30 seconds on Seraph to come up here. No teleport, so it looks like CLG will pretty much be sticking together for this next engage. Dig can grab anything in a completely blacked out map. It would maybe be Dragon in 30 seconds, but I'm not sure they have the timer. Oh no, they do have the timer on that from the last. They should. 9-4 here, 60 to 51,000 now. Just a huge lead for CLG, and they're playing this one safe and very strategically, not like we saw last week. They were kind of just all over the place.
And Doublelift upgrading his boots with alacrity on this back as well as picking up that Negatron cloak to deal with the Shiphtur chunk as we saw, but also to deal with the Aphromoo combo if he does land at that. As long as Doublelift does not get 100 to 0'd on an engage, CLG have a huge advantage. I like really the progression in Doublelift's build. It kind of mirrored the tanks of Dignitas. When Crumbzz was building the Spectral Wraith into the Aegis, then he had 0 armor, so flat armor penetration is extremely effective. So Ghostblade, the 20 flat armor penetration cannot be overstated. It helps you rip through that Aphromoo. And then as soon as Crumbzz picks up some armor, he finishes the last Whisper in his build.
The percentage. Definitely been working. 5-0-2. His Twitch was banned out this game, but it's not stopping him from getting that duo going in the bottom. We actually saw even that Dexter was trying to do a lot for that bottom lane, and they weren't making it happen. There's a dive in on Seraph. They still get a good amount of damage there. Crumbzz takes the ultimate in from Link. Shockwave as well. Back to him. Getting the ball moved over to Crumbzz. He stays alive for just a little bit longer, and he stays alive altogether. Dignitas has yet to lose one, but Zion, Spartan, and Crumbzz are limping away from this fight as they lose the inhibitor. Perseverance pays off for CLG, and they get a bit more at Dig's base.
CLG, again, completely focused on the objectives. They get what they wanted out of this. Even though Dignitas able to take down Aphromoo, they lost another inhibitor and a huge wave top, able to pressure the last standing inhibitor turret. So CLG completely happy with their mid-game push here. They have control of the entire map with 10 seconds left to go for Baron number 3.
Dignitas came out this year pretty much the advocators of wards everywhere. You need wards, and this is what that plays into. Again, CLG sets up in the fog, and they try to get a pick off. KiWiKiD very low, may not be able to tidal wave or disengage here, but Zion Spartan is still trying to be a beast for his team. They are getting really scattered here for not knowing where CLG fully is.
Dexter barely able to get away, slowed down, and not able to land the bandage shots. This is a desperate play, though. Dignitas corralling themselves in the Baron pit.
Here we go. The choose your own adventure begins. Oh, they're going to back off. 38 on the clock. CLG says, not this time. Dig does get good vision on it, and that's the first time they've really tried to make a move and get an upper hand in vision. Cleared out quick by CLG, but they're still at it.
CLG do not have to rush into this. They have plenty of time on their hands. There's an exposed inhibitor they could go after. They still have a bottom line pushing, but they're going for Baron once again. Dignitas can't check.
This is pretty intense, Kobe. Zion Spartan's not even going to be here for this fight. Teleport is up, though. They just need it in the right spot. On the backside, ready to shut anybody down that comes in. Beautiful peel off right now. Oh, the ball delivery! The curse of the sad ball, and it goes in and definitely gets delivered nicely. Doublelift able to come up on a kill, but QTFi answers with another AD carry. Kill from the other side. They back off here. A very, very big engage. Link and Aphromoo both down. It'd be risky here to keep doing this.
That's why the flash is so important on that Aphromoo. Crumbzz is able to get in there, hit the ultimate on more people than just the tanks. But Dignitas in the end have to go back and clear these Nexus turrets.
Going in very strong. Let's see if Nasus can do anything. Zion Spartan trying to get up in a play position. Oh, Doublelift very low and close to going down here. Zion Spartan, they can see this because of their ward in the brush. They're going to go ahead and take control of that area. Baron does not go down this time. CLG gets out alive, and Dig does. A few members down before that, but both teams know that is going to be the objective that is necessary. Unless CLG can just do a roundabout and give Dig the okie doke and make it to their base. I see Baron being kind of that win.
Definitely could have been a bit cleaner there. CLG did get another kill out of it, but definitely lost a bit of time.
Yeah.
They really, CLG does not have to really be the ones feeling that like they have the pressure on their shoulders since they had the inhibitor advantage. They've got the extra man of the super minions going down bottom. Once again, though, Pink Ward in Baron Pit, trying to two-man this. They've got position, and this should be much easier for them to secure.
There we go, Aphromoo's in. This is going to be given up. That is the Baron. The final push probably to come in from CLG here on game 1. 3 of 3 Barons, 1 of the 4 Dragons, and they have been knowingly giving those up and really still come out ahead.
Let's see how this final push goes. The open inhibitor here should be pretty easy pickings for CLG. Interested to see if Dignitas try and make their last stand to defend it, or they wait to fight around that last inhibitor turret, because they do need all the help that they can get in these fights. Banshee's Veils are starting to go up on the front line for CLG here, and Crumbzz has had a very hard time getting to the back line. So it's going to be very difficult for him. No flash this time around.
CLG getting themselves in the base here, 40 minutes into the game. Zion trying to spirit fire these minions out, but like we said, such little wave clear, and it adds so much damage on the inhibitor each time for CLG. Dexter helping this minion wave as well in the top, in the bottom rather, and then they'll be able to go to top if they even need to.
You can see, all that CLG have to do right now is keep up the pressure. They have the extra minion wave coming in. Top is getting shoved. The top turret's slowly going down. Middle, oh, here goes Crumbzz.
Right into the middle, he gets everybody on the edge, but that's not something they can engage on. Both tanks get the command shockwave, and this is going for broke here for Counterlogic Gaming. That's the second inhibitor going down, and they're looking for Nexus turrets on this one, or the only one that is actually left. Zion Spartan goes down. Link finally picks up that kill, but look at CLG. They're not too excited to get to that win. They want to make sure it happens without them losing too many people, and with everybody up on this one. Very safe play.
This should be it. Just waiting for the minion line to come in.
There you
Next
go.
start's going down.
Beautifully done. Really beautifully done by Chronologic Gaming coming into the first one. Dignitas KiWiKiD gonna go down Doublelift 10-0-4. Game 1, 16-7, 42 minutes on the clock. The first game goes to CLG.
Congratulations to CLG. Game number 1, setting the tone for this best of 5.
Absolute 180 from what we saw last week in their style of play, the way they did things. CLG is definitely back to the way they were without trying to make too many changes right in the beginning. Nice early play. The Aphromoo pick definitely knocked on there in the early game. They stole his blue, tried to get the 3-buff start. Crumbzz came back very nicely with the mid lane gank, but Doublelift in the bottom lane. Pretty much that entire game, 40 to 50 CS up, and carried it out of the lane.
And the entire team down there at 7 minutes or so to try and make that play. Yeah, CLG definitely good game plan. Could have been executed a little bit more cleanly, but they definitely did have a much better plan this time around, and worked out really well for them. Dignitas not able to pull off their combo. We saw it one time there a little bit late, but it never got off the ground because there was so much control bottom side for CLG.
And one thing that stands true that you kept saying this game is they acted. CLG acted every time they could. Baron was up, they kept going for it. They knew Zion would get something, they wanted to take more. And they did it every time, regardless of what else was happening on the map. So that was very well played by them. Early mistake on the Zion Spartan teleport could have actually given them a lot of pressure that they lost within that. And then he went down for their first blood. So CLG kind of got a lot of things back. And I love the fact that they denied just about all the vision. How many times did we see Dig have to face check a brush? You don't see that very often in this type of play.
They did do a good job shifting their control, their vision control over to the Baron at the right time. Once they did have that upper hand, and they made a really big play there from the fog of war.
So crazy. So now, very surprising. I'm sure a lot of CLG fans are feeling pretty good about what their team just brought out, but Dignitas, they've kind of faltered a little bit. They did the split push strategy, and we saw it work with Zion Spartan winning an entire game. This time he had trouble getting going, and we'll have to see if it really plays out that it's going to be CLG continuing to focus on that bottom lane to keep Doublelift going and let Seraph and Link just kind of play safe and hold their lanes to their own. It's going to be a very interesting game. Remember, share your favorite highlights from today's games. Tweet LOL Esports at LOL Esports. And today we're using the hashtag LOL Big Plays. So right now we're going to send it over to the guys at the analyst desk to share their perspective on that match.
Thanks, Riv. A very exciting first game of this series going to the hands of CLG. Now, something I want to talk about right off the bat is the fact that Dignitas tried to pull out this split-pushing Nasus comp again. However, this time, they also brought along with it the Aphromoo pick. So where do you think that came from, Zyrene?
I feel like they were going for a split push with a good 4v4 team fight that also has some disengage from Nami, because the Aphromoo alongside the Orianna makes for a very deadly wombo combo, which gives Nasus enough time to TP into the back line, but they only got that combo off about one time at Baron, and it was very effective when we did see it, but besides that, they just didn't play to their comp strengths, and CLG actually outpicked them.
So, Pobelter, is there another champion that you feel could have fit Amumu's role, maybe been a little bit of an early game champion to provide some more aggression in those early minutes?
Something like Lee Sin or Elise would have worked perfectly, actually. I think even with that, though, Dig's comp still would have been lacking in a bit of early game aggression and skirmish potential. Like, Dignitas' team comp had absolutely no characters that were good at skirmishing, while CLG's had 5, so CLG was just able to kind of group up, rotate, take turrets, take dragons.
Yeah, and I think it was a really good idea to ban out the Nunu, because that would have been perfect in that composition. It would have done everything that they needed, and it would have been a steroid for KiWiKiD in the late game.
Well, and then you mentioned KiWiKiD, so now we have to jump into that bot lane just a little bit, because we saw that early aggression and the early laning power that CLG had in a huge CS difference early in the game, 100 to 50, double the CS. I mean, that puts Kog'Maw at a huge item disadvantage for those early team fights. What do you think Dig needs to do looking forward, right, to get that bot lane kind of in a good place?
Well, we saw that opening package, and Crumbzz was talking about how they kind of sacrificed their bot lane and focused a little more on top and mid. And then CLG is the polar opposite. They sacrificed Seraph to go ahead and camp that bottom lane. Dexter basically pitched a tent there, and we kind of figured out, no, he wasn't just camping top in that game when they were playing Curse. He was actually camping Doublelift's lane when he was standing up there. So they looked to get Doublelift ahead, and I think what they need to do is pick a more aggressive jungler that has more control, because he got his blue buff stolen away early, and that just completely ruined his early game.
Now, Pobelter, when we were watching the game, you mentioned that the Ori versus Syndra matchup, Syndra should win that matchup. We saw an early level 4 gank there by the Aphromoo after losing his blue buff. So he shouldn't have really been able to have that presence. What was the factors that allowed for that to happen?
Dexter, well, like he said earlier, Dexter focuses on getting his bot lane ahead. So he was just spending like 1 or 2 minutes down at bottom while his mid laner Link was pushed up to the turret. And so it was kind of a combination of Link overextending, but also his jungler not backing him up. So Aphromoo was just able to get a really easy gank off.
Right. Well, another play that we saw Shiphtur make is actually 11 minutes into the game. Here in the mid lane, we're going to pull up a replay where he actually gets a gank from Seraph, comes down to try and kill him under turret. Pobelter, if you don't mind walking us through this play here.
So Seraph has just pushed out his lane. Nasa's walking back to lane. We can roll the clip. And then so Seraph comes with the flash over the wall. And then right here, they sort of layered their CC too hard, and so they don't get the burst off. Orianna is able to pull Maokai back in through the turret. And this is really good because it really, well, you get rid of Maokai flash, and he has to spend a lot of time doing that. So Nasus gets a lot of free farm in that meantime. Maokai's flash is now down, so he can't roam around and make plays off the map. And Orianna has just gotten a kill, a sort of character that you want getting as much farm as possible. So at this point, it looked pretty good for Dignitas, you know? Orianna now has 2 kills, not that far behind Syndra. So I thought that Dignitas could pull out a victory, but the bot lane deficit was just way too much.
I was about to say that at that point in the game, they're looking in a pretty good place on the side of Dignitas. So we have to give credit to CLG for playing their map movements correctly and playing to their strengths, warding up the top side jungle. As we heard Kobe say in the post game, they had a great vision transition utilizing Doublelift's farm in order to snowball ahead. At that point in the game, though, Dignitas, with the power that they have, what are they looking to do? How can they combat those quick early movements by CLG?
Well, they have to get those wards down. And the fact that there's no Sightstone on the jungler here, it's not a Sightstone-based jungler, which Nunu would have brought to the table. So once again, big shout out there to CLG to learn to ban that out and not allow that control for Dignitas because it plays right into Crumbz's hands. They need something more aggressive that has more pressure. He got that gank in the mid lane, but the fact, like I want to go back to it too, that he lost his blue, it went to Doublelift. So Doublelift had Dexter camping that lane. He had a blue buff early on Lucian, massive wave clear against the lane bully of Nami, who usually just trades and out-trades you, but they came out on top and they just continued to just get vision down there. They had a bad TP by Zion Spartan to give up a kill early, and then those types of misplays cost you a bunch against a team like CLG, which will start to get the second dragon off of you. They'll turn that dragon into more wards and more coverage. I think they need to go back to their roots here and go back to the Dignitas that we saw during the first half of the split, where we couldn't shut up about how much vision they had over the map, and they'd just kind of fallen by the wayside.
Well, so CLG then continued to roll that vision control into an early Baron. Following that, pretty soon after, we're going to pull up a replay here of a mid lane turret dive where Doublelift picks up a quadra kill. So on top of already being fed, he gets more fed.
Yeah, so what ends up happening here is they have the Baron buff. Doublelift has 60 more CS than KiWiKiD at this point, and Aphromoo will come in, blow everything, and that sets them up for the turret dive. We'll start rolling the clip here, because Aphromoo is the biggest threat when you're diving a turret on this composition that Dignitas has. Crumbzz comes in, he lands the bandage, he blows his ultimate, but then he gets blown up by Link, and then Doublelift, he's completely free to just clean up, gets a culling, goes through, and they just get the resets on Dexter for the extra slow from his W, which is evolved, which I absolutely think that's the best way to pull this off, is to get that extra slow from your W evolution.
From there on out, seemed like a pretty methodical game for CLG. They had a lead. It did take them a little while just to maneuver around the map, pick up a couple more Barons, things like that. But now looking forward, Pobelter, I want to pose one last question to you. CLG got 3-0'd in the previous round. Now they're out to a pretty good start here, 1-0 in this series. So that's got to be a pretty big confidence boost. But now, what are the discussions like within the team in order to keep that kind of level head, move forward, use your lead and your advantage, you know, to get through this series?
CLG, I'm sure, is feeling very confident after that first game. You know, everyone always says that the first game is a precursor to the entire series, so Dignitas kind of has to recoup their sort of mental state of mind, I guess, and then make sure that their bot lane just doesn't go on complete tilt and is able to keep up.
All right, well, they've got a few more minutes to do so. After the break, we'll see if Dignitas can tie it up in Game 2 versus Counterlogic Gaming. Stay with us. The North American LCS Summer Playoffs continue after this.
Shiphtur gets hit, the arcane smash goes down. Is it going to be enough? No, it will not. Oh, he picks up the kill. A beautiful flash from Link there on the shockwave, and Shiphtur will be taken down. CLG is ignoring turrets, and they are dropping Dignitas. Just a little short, but CLG re-engages.
Link with the flash in and ultimate for the kill.
On the backside, ready to shut anybody down that comes in. Beautiful peel off right now. Oh, the ball delivery. Beautifully done. Really beautifully done by Counterlogic Gaming coming into the first one. Dignitas, KiWiKiD gonna go down.